The lunch rush was in full swing outside the corporate towers of downtown as 25-year-old Emma Collins wiped the sweat from her forehead and called out the next order. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her white t-shirt showed the honest wear of someone who had been working the lunch shift at Sunrise Bites food truck for the past 4 hours. Emma had been running the family food truck for 2 years, ever since her father passed away and left her with both the business and the responsibility of caring for her younger brother, who was finishing his senior year of high school. The truck had been her father's dream, serving fresh, affordable meals to working people who needed good food at honest prices. The line stretched down the sidewalk, filled with office workers eager to grab lunch before returning to their air-conditioned buildings. Emma moved efficiently, taking orders, preparing food, and managing the small operation with the practiced skill of someone who had learned to handle everything alone. Near the back of the line stood 32-year-old Marcus Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Development, one of the city's most successful real estate companies. His tailored navy suit and confident bearing marked him as someone accustomed to having doors opened and problems solved quickly. But today, he was just another customer in line, checking his phone and waiting his turn like everyone else. Emma barely glanced at him as she worked through the orders ahead of his. She had learned to focus on efficiency over pleasantries during the busy lunch rush. And one customer in an expensive suit looked much like another to her tired eyes. When Marcus finally reached the window, Emma looked up with her practiced customer service smile. "What can I get for you today?" Marcus studied the menu board, then looked back at Emma. Something about her face seemed familiar, but he couldn't quite place where he might have seen her before. "I'll take the grilled chicken sandwich and a lemonade," he said. "That'll be $12, Emma replied, already turning to prepare his order. As Marcus handed her the money, their fingers briefly touched, and he got a closer look at her face. Suddenly, recognition hit him like a wave. "Still remember me?" he said quietly, his voice carrying a warmth that made Emma pause in her work. Emma looked up sharply, really seeing him for the first time. The expensive suit and confident demeanor couldn't hide the familiar brown eyes and gentle smile she remembered from 15 years ago. "Marcus?" she whispered, her hands stilling on his order. "Marcus Blackwell?" "Hello, Emma," he said softly. "I wondered if I'd ever see you again." The lunch line behind Marcus continued to grow, filled with impatient customers checking their watches, but Emma found herself transported back to their senior year of high school when Marcus had been not the successful CEO he was now, but a shy, awkward teenager who sat alone at lunch. Emma had been popular then, captain of the debate team and headed to college on a scholarship. But what Marcus remembered most about her wasn't her achievements or social status. It was the day she had sat down at his empty lunch table and asked if he wanted company. "You probably don't remember," Marcus said, glancing at the growing line behind him. "But you used to eat lunch with me when no one else would." "Of course I remember," Emma replied, momentarily forgetting about the impatient customers. "You were working on that novel about the boy who could talk to trees." Marcus felt his heart skip. She did remember. For weeks during their senior year, Emma had chosen to spend her lunch period with him, listening to him read chapters from his terrible teenage novel, sharing her sandwich when he forgot his lunch money, and treating him like he mattered when most of their classmates acted like he was invisible. "You encouraged me to keep writing," Marcus continued. "You said I had potential even when my stories were awful." Emma felt tears prick her eyes as the memories came flooding back. Marcus had been so lonely then, dealing with his parents' divorce and his own insecurities about fitting in. She had seen something special in him that others missed, a kindness and intelligence that just needed someone to believe in it. "What happened to the writing?" Emma asked, though the line of customers behind Marcus was growing restless. "I never stopped," Marcus admitted. "I have 3 published novels now, under a pen name. But I also built a successful business. Turns out confidence and believing in yourself can take you pretty far." An impatient customer behind Marcus cleared his throat loudly. "Some of us have meetings to get back to." Emma snapped back to the present, realizing she had been neglecting her other customers. "I'm so sorry," she said quickly, finishing Marcus's order. "Here's your sandwich and lemonade." Marcus took his food, But instead of leaving, he stepped aside and waited until Emma had worked through the entire lunch rush. When the last customer had been served and the line had disappeared, he approached the window again. "Emma, can we talk? I mean, really talk?" Emma looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and exhaustion. "I only have a few minutes before I need to prep for the dinner shift." "Then let me help," Marcus said, removing his suit jacket and rolling up his sleeves. "I remember you teaching me how to clean tables at your dad's restaurant when we were kids." For the next hour, Marcus helped Emma clean and restock the food truck while they caught up on 15 years of life. Emma told him about her father's death, about taking over the food truck business, about working 18-hour days to support herself and her brother. Marcus listened with the same attention he had given to her stories in high school, and Emma found herself opening up to him in ways she hadn't with anyone in years. "Why a food truck?" Marcus asked as he helped her organize supplies. "Dad always said good food brings people together," Emma replied. "After he died, I couldn't bear to sell it. This truck represents his dreams, his belief that honest work and treating people well would always be enough." "And is it enough?" Marcus asked gently. Emma was quiet for a moment. "Some days barely. The permits, the health inspections, the competition from chain restaurants, it's all gotten harder. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep it going." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Here was the girl who had believed in him when no one else did, now struggling to keep her father's dream alive while supporting her family. "Emma, I want to ask you something, and I need you to hear me out before you say no." Emma looked at him warily. "What?" "Blackwell Development has been looking into food service investments. We're planning a new mixed-use development with retail and residential space, and we need an anchor food service tenant. Marcus, I can't afford rent in one of your buildings. I can barely afford the permits for the truck." "You wouldn't pay rent," Marcus said quickly. "You'd be an equity partner. We provide the space, the equipment, the marketing support. You provide the vision, the recipes, the heart that makes this food special." Emma stared at him. "You want to go into business with me? I want to invest in someone I believe in, the same way you invested in me when we were 17 years old." "This isn't high school anymore, Marcus. This is real money, real responsibility. You're right. It's not high school. In high school, you saw potential in an awkward kid who didn't fit in anywhere. Now I see potential in an incredible woman who's built a successful business while caring for her family and honoring her father's memory." Emma felt tears begin to fall. "Why would you do this for me?" "Because 15 years ago, you chose to sit at my lunch table when you could have sat anywhere else. You listened to my terrible stories and made me feel like I had something valuable to contribute to the world. That kindness changed the trajectory of my entire life." Marcus paused, looking out at the city skyline. "Success isn't just about making money, Emma. It's about using whatever resources you have to lift up the people who lifted you up. You gave me confidence when I had none. Now I want to give you the opportunity to expand your father's dream in ways he never could have imagined." 6 months later, Emma stood in the kitchen of Sunrise Cafe, the flagship restaurant of what had become a small chain of locations throughout the city. The original food truck still operated, but now it was part of a larger operation that employed 15 people and served hundreds of customers daily. Marcus had been true to his word, providing not just financial backing but genuine partnership. He handled the business development while Emma focused on what she did best: creating delicious food and building relationships with customers and employees. Her younger brother had graduated and was now attending college on a scholarship, proud to tell his friends that his sister was a successful restaurateur. The walls of the restaurant were decorated with photos from the food truck's early days, including one of Emma and her father standing proudly beside their dreams on wheels. Marcus still stopped by regularly, not as an investor checking on his returns, but as a friend who understood that the best partnerships are built on mutual respect and shared values. "You know," Emma said one evening as they closed the restaurant together, "I never thanked you properly for believing in me." "You thanked me 15 years ago," Marcus replied, "when you chose to see something worthwhile in a kid who couldn't see it in himself. Everything good that's happened since then started with your kindness." The food truck that had once been a symbol of struggle had become the foundation for success, But more importantly, it had become proof that kindness planted in youth can grow into opportunities that transform entire lives. Sometimes the most important investments we make aren't financial, but emotional. Sometimes a lunch table conversation between teenagers becomes the seed for a business partnership between adults. And sometimes the person who needs our encouragement the most becomes the person most able to encourage us when we need it in return. If this story reminded you that the kindness we show to others often comes back to us in unexpected ways, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need encouragement about the power of believing in others. Subscribe for more stories about how relationships built on mutual support can create opportunities that benefit everyone involved. And please comment below about a time when someone believed in you when you couldn't believe in yourself, or when your faith in someone else led to something beautiful. Your story might inspire someone else to reach out with encouragement today.